New game modes could possibly be coming into Dead by Daylight, and in today's video we're taking a look at some of these possible game modes. Kings and queens, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Let's go ahead and jump on into today's video where we're talking about new game modes that could potentially come into Dead by Daylight. Let's start off with the classic, the 2v8 game mode. If Dead by Daylight were to get a game mode, I think this is one of the ones that everybody has been anticipating and they really want. This is pretty plain and simple. You have 2 killers versus 8 survivors, and you can increase the amount of generators, maybe even limit some of the killer's powers, mess around with some of the timings, and that could be pretty interesting. Now, again, all these game modes that we're going to talk about don't necessarily need to be public. They could be custom, so balancing doesn't need to be superbly perfect, and these kind of things would be pretty fun. So 2v8 game mode would be cool. Imagine seeing the Spirit and Oni running around killing survivors, or maybe even getting something like Freddy and Leatherface, the classic iconic characters, essentially going together and killing everyone. We've seen bugs and glitches in the past that allowed us to do this, and having a 2v8 game mode would be pretty damn cool. And that's one of the many cool game modes that we're going to be talking about. Before we go ahead and jump on into more of this, I want to let you guys know that today's video is sponsored. And today's sponsor is Opera GX. Opera GX is a special version of the Opera browser built specifically for gamers. This browser includes tons of unique features like CPU, RAM, and network limiters to help you get the most out of both gaming and browsing. And one of the coolest things now is that this is now available for mobile, Opera GX Mobile. Make sure you guys take a look at it and check it out because it is absolutely amazing. GX Mobile has tons of cool feature that Opera GX has itself. Now, I've been using Opera GX for a very long time, since the first time we've worked together, and I haven't stopped since. There's just tons of cool things that you can use, such as the GX control. This will help enhance your performance on your PC when gaming, when your browser's open, and getting rid of that unnecessary lag while playing games and listening to music. This is perfect when you want to keep some tabs open and not have to lose them, but you don't want to hurt your performance. There's also the network limiter, which allows you to limit the network bandwidth with network limiter used by the Opera GX browser to gain performance in games and streams. Another cool thing that I really like about Opera is how customizable it is. There's different accents in Opera GX that are inspired by neon lights and how they break the darkness of the night. You can actually customize this to your own theme, wallpaper, or colors itself. It is absolutely fantastic, and I love having it nice and green. Now, if you're already on something like Google Chrome and you're worried that you won't have your extensions, you don't even need to worry about that. In addition, Opera also has an extension store, and Google Chrome extensions are compatible with Opera browsers. You can quickly go to the Chrome web store and install any extension you want and use it on Opera. So realistically, you're just upgrading without missing anything. So I highly encourage you guys to download Opera GX and join me. This has been amazing ever since I've been using it. The link will be in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now. And a big thank you to Opera GX. They have been absolutely amazing, and I love using their web browser, and I highly recommend that you guys check them out as well. So again, a big thank you to Opera GX, and let's take a look at the next game mode that could potentially come into Dead by Daylight. This one is starting to become a little bit of a classic itself, and that is Prop Hunt. We've seen so many other games having this Prop Hunt type of game mode, obviously popularized in Gary's mod, and then it moved on to tons of other games. And in Dead by Daylight scene, Cows made a fantastic video showcasing what this would look like. Essentially running around as a survivor, disguising yourself as an item or a prop around the map, whether that is a locker or maybe a flashlight, a chest, and the killer has to determine where you're at, and there's like a timer going down, and as soon as it hits 0, essentially, if you are not found, you are the winner. We've seen this game mode be utilized in so many other games that Dead by Daylight could easily replicate this and pop this into a custom game. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy having something like that to play with your friends. So I also know that there's a little bit of a worry sometimes with custom games, and this is kind of like an idea that I always utilized, where people are saying, hey, I don't want to waste my time playing a custom game when I could be playing public and earning blood points and shards and rift fragments, etc. If they had a partial bonus that you can get while playing with your friends that's not significant enough to farm every single game, and it will just be better to play a regular match, maybe 20% of the amount of blood points, something like that, 5,000, 6,000 per game, so you're still at least getting partial credit, it would be pretty good, and it will keep the game modes alive, as that would be more of a true party game type of feature rather than an actual stapled game mode of what Dead by Daylight is. Anyways, I digress. Let's continue talking about some other cool game modes. Something cool that I played was hide and seek, and just imagine kind of like a battle royale style hide and seek game mode in DBD, where you have maybe 10 to 20 survivors on maybe even a bigger map. You can combine all the realms into one giant map, and the killer has to go around killing people. Maybe everyone blends in a little bit better, and you can add a lot of extra foliage to these maps, and if the killer smacks you down one time, your game is pretty much done, and you carry on to the next, and at the end, whoever's the last person remaining wins. You can still have lockers, things like that, and even potentially run from the killer as well to hide, you know, extra resources and pallets. It could be pretty cool. And then communities can come together. They can have room codes where they can play in. Streamers can jump on in with their audience and have a room code where everyone just has fun with this. So a hide and seek type of game mode, and really go into the roots of Dead by Daylight with this hide and seek category, could be pretty cool to have as another game mode coming into a game. How about a game mode kind of like gun game in regular Call of Duties? You know, every time you essentially hit a survivor, maybe your power gets randomized. Maybe every single time that you hook somebody or hit someone, there's a different debuff or buff to your character or the opposition, you know? So let's say, for example, you hit a survivor. Now, every time you break a pallet, it takes 200% of the time to break this pallet. Or maybe the next time a survivor stuns you, the next time you stun the killer, it'll just automatically break. You know, combine some of the perks, get it going in there, and just really buff them up for your custom games. That would be something cool. So every time you're in chase, you could just get some random RNG factor to screw you over, and it would just be extremely amazing if you're just really playing in a role-playing type of game. Let's say you're Michael Myers, you're running around, all of a sudden you toss a pallet at him and it just breaks out of nowhere. You continue to run, you vault a window, and he just zips through the window at like 500% speed, something like that. And then on the opposite side, if you're chasing someone and you go to swing, maybe your lunges decrease for some reason, and you swing really, really short on top of the already short swing that Myers has. Things like that would just be super cool. So like a random RNG/gun game type mode that changes every few seconds would be good. Which now takes me to one of my final points, and that's, regardless if we get new game modes or not, I think what they should start doing, and the community will naturally come up with their own game modes and custom games, is adding a bunch of settings to custom games. Think about older games that you can play into a private game. You have tons of settings, such as editing how fast you want the timers to go. In our case, we could make it so that generators go super quick. There we can spawn more generators, we can spawn less generators. We can make our movement speeds faster. We can make the EGC endgame timer longer. We can make everybody move at slower speed. We can make pallet breaks longer. RNG isn't actually a thing, and you'll have tons of tiles that always spawn in the same location. Not only will this be good for just making new game modes and custom games, it'll be great for tournaments, things like that, and then it allows the community to really use their heads to mess around with these settings and create some fun game modes. A big part of my childhood, again, as I mentioned a few times in this video already, was Call of Duty, and playing games like Sticks and Stones, Gun Game, or even just random game modes that we created like Michael Myers and hide and seek, things like that, really went a long way and were some of the coolest things that I did in the game. And something like that coming into Dead by Daylight, I know for sure will be really, really appreciated. I feel like the developers are maybe scared that they might put tons and tons of time into a custom game or a new game mode and people won't necessarily play it, and all that time and resource would go wasted. But I believe, and I truly believe, that if these custom games are fun enough, especially if they are really unique, other content creators are going to start seeing this and start pushing it to their audiences, and friends and people will tell each other about these new game modes that are in the very classic asymmetrical genre now. And they'll be like, hey, that's something a little bit new for Dead by Daylight. Let me go and give it a shot. And it might spread like wildfire. And it's quite easy to come up with these game modes as well. We just came up with a few of them off the top of our head, you know, and we've seen other games kind of take the same Dead by Daylight style, now having like one killer essentially going around killing everybody. And Dead by Daylight could do the same exact thing at looking at other games and just, you know, piggybacking off of them. Take Among Us, for example. They recently came out with a new game mode where one person's running around killing, and the objective is just to survive. In that game mode, there's even a heartbeat on the killer, and the music intensifies as they get closer and closer to you. Now, Dead by Daylight can basically do the same thing, piggyback off of them. What if you have 10 survivors in a lobby, and secretly Meg is around killing everybody with a knife? It would be cool. It would be interesting. You know, you could even make it to go into first person for everybody, things like that. The list goes on and on. I would love to hear your game modes that you guys come up with in the comments down below. And again, all of these game modes can be done with just some simple settings that they can add into the game, such as first person only for killer and survivor, maybe third person only for killer and survivor. The list goes on and on. I'm sure you guys seen some of these private lobby things that they're actually able to do with the settings that they have, making people smaller or bigger, faster, slower, making perks go crazy. So the assets and the tools are there to be incorporated into the game, and it would be awesome if we had them to really expand upon that. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. There's a ton of cool things that could come out as game modes, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well. Hopefully in the future we can see these come to life, and I'm optimistic that that will happen. A big shout out again to OperaGX for sponsoring today's video, and as always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys, and we'll see you in the fog.